work for Dagenham Council, so I'm aware of how things function. So I do have a general knowledge. So it's not something that I don't understand how council policies and procedures work. I'm very familiar with it. So the fact that you could say, that policy, because every time I've sent an email, it's taken 6 to 7 months for a response, and they'll just keep referring it back to 10.1 or 10.2 policy, which it doesn't actually answer any of my questions.
So one thing I will say on the drop curb policy is where we are actually in discussions with highways about the flexibility of that policy, because I know it has been quite, I don't know if punitive is the best word, but it's been quite inflexible to residents about applying in relation to this point about CPZs. So we are currently.
And what's the time? What are you proposing?
Well, I think we're looking.
And then we'll walk.
We're kind of looking towards April, so imminently, really. But there's certainly we're looking at what possible issues can be. Because I know from when we consulted and stuff like that, there was a big gap from people being able to apply and things getting put on hold and that sort of stuff. So there's a lot more flexibility around that and kind of a lot more free space for people to be able to apply. And
so
stuff
there'll
like
be an increase in drop curve.
in the ability for people to apply for one.
And
so
then on the consultation, everybody should have got a letter.
Everyone should have got a letter. Again, obviously, there's a few individuals saying you haven't received a letter. I'm not going to argue, but obviously,
we large chunk. So I don't think it's individuals. It's a large chunk of people who haven't received letters.
And it was done during COVID as well, when a lot of people were afraid to come out.
Actually, my brother passed away from COVID, so I was dealing with funeral response. So I wasn't, even if I had got the letter, I wasn't aware of it. So the fact that the consultation happened and it was implemented during that peak period of COVID deaths was unethical at best.
Do you agree to that?
Can I just make a quick point, please?
I was going to let this young lady do it, and then we are going to go. We'll let her do it.
So we live along the Longbridge Road, the flats.
Yeah, that's most difficult.
Now there's a lot of flats along Longbridge Road. We've got the north and access road at the back. You've applied drop curbs, half on the pavement, half on the road, to some of those roads because they're a bit wider. The road that we've done, we've never had any issues as far as I'm aware of the 35 years of emergency properties or garage is not being accessible. But now you've taken we used to park on the pavement at the back. You can't do that anymore. You've now put parking bays, which I believe were meant to be passing bays. So in terms of if you had an oncoming vehicle, there was a passing bay that you could allow that vehicle to park. You can't do that anymore. So you've literally taken all of our parking at the back away from us. There's probably about 6 or 9, and there's 84 flats on that one particular stretch. Now we've got parking at the front. We now cannot park unless we park on the main road, and it's the most dangerous thing ever. It takes me about half an hour just to do a food shop. So inconvenient as well, just to get my food from my flat into my flat. I've got to go up and down.
This comes back to the safety issue, what I was picking up on. At night, you're making mums with their young kids walk streets now to get to their car.
Because I've been there and I can see the problem.
So I think,
There has been an accident on Longbridge Road as well recently.
we're aware of the kind of the service roads that run behind the flats, parallel to Longbridge. But there's been a few issues there. I think that's one of the locations that's worth going to.
That'd be beneficial.
I think it's well worth going to, and I think
that you
David
mentioned
probably
that
managed
we were blocking the pavement. Now, I appreciate that it's a pavement, however, the public pavement should be at the front. There's a lot of access. That is an access road more so for people to get into their garages on the adjacent properties and for us. So
let's walk.
That would be great if you could remove those pavements.
we can have discussions
Just on her point as well.
If we could put a little side pavement down so we don't have to be on the curb. Do you know what I mean?
Hang on, let this man
Clearly
have
we
a
need to
go.
go and visit that location. It's well worth it.
And then we're walking, guys, because we've almost used.
Just on her point as well, because I live on this side here. Where she's speaking about, over 10 years I've been here, never been an issue for any of the residents.
Exactly.
The point you're making with regards to implementing CPZ to keep other people from parking in our area, which has never been a problem, you contradict that because all those cars now have to fight for spaces on the very road you're trying to keep traffic off of. So that contradicts your view with regards to safety. Furthermore, the most important point I've been waiting to make is, you say that your concerns are safety and what may be possible, the concerns of things that might happen. But we're a community and we had a democratic consultation And by your own admission, the majority of people who responded didn't want it. And you didn't listen to us. You're supposed to be working together with us. We feel like you're working against us.
Why was it done in COVID time?
Well,
You issued it in COVID
well, it had
time.
to be done in
which was
COVID,
the-
but I agree.
Well, it didn't
And
have
just
to
on
be
your
done in
point, Mark,
COVID.
Councillor, just very quickly on your point. You said it's going to be a borough-wide thing, and that's it.
Yeah.
Now, I know that's the way politics works, but that's not democratic. That's dictatorial. We
Yeah.
should be working together.
Yeah.
And the points of the community that you are serving need to be listened to. So if you feel you know better than us, which you may well do, I know politics isn't easy. If you feel you know better than us, and you may be right, as far as I'm concerned, we're all in it together. So if we as a community vote against something that you are strongly in belief is right, and we get it wrong, we're all in it together, and we'll deal with it together, and we'll learn. But we feel like we're being dictated to. And that's not right, that's not democratic.
Yeah.
You were just saying about the COVID, you were just saying about it could be done in the COVID, but the problem with what it was done in the COVID, a lot of people around here are elderly as well and disabled. We've got a lot of people like that. They don't have access to computers. Boris put us all on lockdown. We weren't allowed out. So how are these people meant to have voted anyway?
How? They wouldn't have voted. I mean,
Well, exactly. You've just said it.
No,
That's what I'm saying.
It isn't a question of vote. Can I just say to you, I think you're right. And I think the way the council did the consultation was wrong. And I've said that to the, I have said that clearly to the council, because they gave you the, you know, you've got to be honest about what you're consulting. And I don't think they were honest about what they were consulting.
So redo the consultation then. If you're saying they've done it wrong, it needs to be redone then.
I'm the MP, they're the council. I think they did it wrong. So what I was trying to start this conversation this afternoon, or this morning, was to say to you, you know, they shouldn't have said you can, you can't. What it should have been much more a question about is how can we maximise the parking, and that and there is a real problem. Let me just say this finally, then we're going to walk. The real problem is that the whole of the borough was built at a time when people didn't have cars, or not many people had cars. Now you've got 2-3 cars per household, quite often. And trying to get that sort of, you know, those numbers of cars into a constrained area is difficult.
But the problem, my argument to that is that is your view and your interpretation. But when you put that to the residents, who are the people that matter, our views are different to yours, and our views that are different to yours, you don't seem to be taking on board.
No, because in a way, that was where I think they should have, there were two things. One, the issue about the fire brigade, which we're going to try and see, and the second is the issue about are we going to have CPZ across the borough or not? And that was a decision taken by the council to deal with the ULEZ issue. Now we'll only know whether they're, you know, when ULEZ is now in. And I was in an area last week, I'm trying to think where the hell it was, but I was in an area last week where they're desperate for a CPZ because actually cars have started.
Which is fair enough, but that's fair enough. If they want it, that's fair enough. But it should be,
That's a very important issue for visitors. And the Pay Smarty app does not work. It does not work, and it's very inefficient. You're forever putting your card details on. You have visitors come, you can't pay for them to park. It does not work. We're gonna walk. We're gonna walk. We're gonna walk.